In Dragon Ball Z and the Dragon Ball franchise, there have been a number of very interesting and rather underrated villains. However, this particular villain we're going to be talking about today may be the most underrated main villain in the history of the Dragon Ball franchise, and his name is Dabura. So today, myself and Josh from Dragon Ball Nation are going to be listing off the 5 reasons why Dabura is underrated in the Dragon Ball franchise. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all upcoming videos in the future. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to this video in which we are going to be listing off those 5 reasons why Dabura is arguably very underrated in the Dragon Ball franchise. And today joining me is a guest. You've seen him on many of my videos, and his name is...
Hey guys, what's up? It's Josh from Dragon Ball Nation here.
Okay, so Josh, both you and I really like Dabura a lot and feel like he's a pretty underrated villain in this franchise, and that's why we both came together to decide to do this video to explain to people why we think he's underrated in 5 ways. So I'm going to let you start off with number 5 on this list, and that is going to be...
his video game tie-ins. Now, I don't mean him being a character or anything necessarily like that in video games like in Budokai 3, Raging Blast, Tenkaichi, you can play as him. I'm talking about recently with Dragon Ball Online, Heroes, and Xenoverse. One of the main antagonists, Towa, is actually the sister of Dabura, and I think that's a nice little dynamic. Now, even though it isn't a part of the official story, it is an interesting dynamic, and not only that, it opens up a broader family tree, even though it, of course, isn't, again, an official part of the story.
Yeah, and also, you know, there's the implications that perhaps Dabura may in some way be a Makaioshin through the video games, if I remember correctly. And that's something we haven't really gotten the chance to see at all in the official canon Dragon Ball. So, like, bringing back Dabura, who was kind of underutilized in the series, and using him in those video games is really something that I think that the games have certainly done well with what they've been doing.
He hasn't really been done that much in Xenoverse, but Dabura really mainly, I think, has the video game ties with Dragon Ball Heroes. He has a different form in that, and he seems to be more utilized in Heroes. Now, none of us really get to play it because it's Japanese only, but from what we know of all the gameplay and the little animated intros, he does have a bigger influence in that, and it's cool to see him be involved in that series.
Absolutely. So, the next one on this list that we're going to be talking about is another interesting tidbit about Dabura, and that is he's one of the few swordsmen in the Dragon Ball franchise. Now, even though the Dragon Ball franchise has seen some really cool swordsmen, they're kind of few and far in between. We know about Future Trunks, we know about the non-canon Tapion. However, Dabura is one of the ones in canon who is capable of wielding his sword with some great technical skill, and he can actually conjure a sword kinda out of nowhere, very similar to Janemba, in which he can conjure one basically with magic, and he can use it against his opponents. Now, that sword that he did use in his fight against Gohan may not have lasted too long.
Especially in the manga.
However, he certainly was able to use it in a way where if it wasn't someone who was pretty close to his power already, they would definitely be at a very big disadvantage.
I completely agree, and again, that manga, their whole fight was honestly really short in the manga. It was a much better representation in the anime.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The anime certainly did some things a little bit better than the manga. However, Gohan starting in his base form against a cell level opponent or higher maybe is something that's a little bit questionable even for Toei. But what's the next one on this list, Josh?
The next one we have here is that Dabura is actually a magic user, and we learn this after Dabura uses an attack against Gohan, and Goku mentions that he's a magic user as well, and that he's way stronger than Goku had initially thought. Not only is he a magic user, which is something we don't really see in Dragon Ball a whole lot, it's been there, but not a whole lot, he also is obviously a very, very powerful being that has great use of his ki-based abilities. abilities. So before mentioning he had magic abilities, Goku compared him to Cell, so he's already an extremely powerful character in that regard without the magic. So, you know, things like the stone spit and, again, taking the sword out of midair, what other special abilities could he possibly have? Who knows?
He also seemed to possibly regenerate his own eyes after Boo basically gouged them out of his head, so maybe he has some kind of latent regeneration abilities through magic as well. However, the combination of magic and ki, again, is something we really do not see much of in Dragon Ball, and I feel like it's really something that could take you to the next level if you really use it to the degree that I feel like these characters could if they were to learn it. And that's really something that ties into the next one as well that you touched upon, which is he's stronger than a lot of people seem to think. And what I mean by this is that Goku compared Dabura to Cell. However, he didn't say perfect Cell or super perfect Cell, he just said Cell. So there is a lot of thought, you know, oh, maybe Goku's only referring to perfect Cell. However, Goku pretty much sensed super perfect Cell's power when Gohan was fighting against him. That's how Goku could pretty much figure out that Gohan could beat him. And on top of that, after Dabura uses his magical abilities against Gohan during their fight, Goku says, wow, he's way stronger than I thought he was. So you could pretty much argue through all the evidence that we see that Dabura was not only stronger than Super Perfect Cell, but he was also the strongest foe that they had come to face at that point in the series when he finally showed up. And then we even see in the Dragon Ball Super manga and anime, he was even giving Future Trunks after training with the Z Sword a very hard time. So this guy is pretty freaking powerful.
That's absolutely right. I think that's a really major aspect that a lot of people might overlook. I think a lot of people think that he is a little bit weaker than he actually is, but anyways, I think the final one we have here is one that a lot of people already do know, but at the same time, maybe don't realize how big of a deal it actually is. He's the king of the demon realm. That might just sound like a couple words to a lot of people, and in general, it kind of is because it doesn't amount to anything, and that's the problem here. But being the king of the demon realm, an entire realm of demons, that's such a high, I guess, royal title, you could say. Like, we never saw the use of the demon realm in Dragon Ball Z, and I think that's a missed opportunity that Toriyama should have really capitalized on here, but being that king is an epic title when you think about it, and it has so many opportunities that, unfortunately, we really never got to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much cool potential that went into that ultimately was wasted, which we did cover on Dabura's Wasted Potential video, which you could check out on my channel. However, this is one of the things that is just so cool about Dabura. The fact that there's an entire realm of demons, powerful beings who are more powerful than most beings from the normal Dragon Ball universe that are behind this guy, and that he's the most powerful out of all of them. And really, on a moment's notice, if this guy wanted to, say, declare war on the human world and just bring all of his demons there, he really could do so, and maybe that would have made for a better arc than the Buu Saga, in my opinion, and many others.
And not even that, but what if Babidi gave them the Majin charm as well? That'd be just crazy.
That'd be ridiculous. Now, Vegeta would have been the king of the Saiyans, and then Frieza was the emperor of a number of planets. Well, Dabura was the king of an entire realm of demons, who probably put a lot of those other species and a lot of those other planets to shame, so he could have been a gigantic threat. But in the end, it seems like even Toriyama underrated this guy's potential a little bit when he introduced Buu and kind of did this guy the way that he did, turning him into a cookie and having him being eaten. Buu didn't even absorb any of his abilities either. He just kind of ate the dude, and that was the end of him. But let us know your own thoughts down below in the comments about how you feel Dabura may have been underrated, or perhaps if you don't think he is. And what are some other ways that we didn't cover on this list that you think that we left out? Of course, you know, this was a top 5, so we can't include all of them, so let us know what you think we maybe should have included, or maybe are some other examples.
I think one thing to keep in mind, which is interesting, is that even though we think he's underrated, at the same time, just the use of him in the story, he just wasn't around for a long enough time to have any real epic moments, I feel like. I mean, the fight between him and Gohan was amazing, but I feel like a lot of the reason people might think he isn't that great is because he really wasn't there that much.
Yeah, he just wasn't there for a very long period of time, and that whole arc is mostly about Boo. Even Babidi in some ways wasn't even there that long. It pretty much all amounted to Boo, his transformations, and really his threat to the universe as a whole. But again, make sure to let us know your thoughts down below. Go over to Dragon Ball Nation's channel and check out his content, and give him a subscribe if you like this kind of content, because he does a lot of really similar Dragon Ball content and some other stuff that you're going to enjoy, so make sure to check him out. And if you really like this video, make sure to drop a like as it helps the channel, and subscribe if you want to see more like this, and enable notifications if you want to see them right away when they come out. As I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
And you better subscribe!
Gotta do it now, Dabura, you scrawny piece of shit.